Every day you look at your cat with the warmest expression you can make. You hold eye contact. You lean slightly forward. You smile. You are sending love from every cell in your body, and you are completely certain your cat feels it. But here is what is happening inside your cat's nervous system during that exact moment, silently, without a single visible signal to warn you. Their amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, is registering your unbroken gaze as a confrontational stare. In feline social communication, direct, sustained eye contact is not affection. It is the behavioral signature of a predator preparing to act. A 2020 controlled study from the University of Sussex found that cats shown an unblinking human stare produced measurable increases in avoidance behavior and decreased approach responses even toward their own owners. The owners in that study had no idea. They thought they were showing love. Their cats were reading a threat. And in tens of millions of American homes right now, this exact miscommunication is happening dozens of times every single day, silently building a gap between what an owner feels and what their cat's nervous system actually receives. This is not about being a careless owner. This is about a biological translation problem that the pet industry, the popular cat content world, and most general practice veterinarians have never addressed at the level of mechanism. Your cat speaks a different biological language. 3 of the most natural things you do every day to express love are being processed by your cat's brain as something entirely different. The 7 habits in this video correct that translation, one neurological signal at a time. And the research behind each of them is specific enough that by the end, you will understand exactly what your cat needs to hear from your behavior, not just your heart, in order to register you as the safest presence in their world. Start with the one that changes every interaction you will have with your cat from this point forward, because it reframes everything else. Most American cat owners greet their cat the way they greet a friend, a dog, or a child. You walk in, you see them, you go to them, you reach down, you pet them. It feels warm, it feels natural. It is, from a feline neurobiological standpoint, happening in the wrong order. Cats do not process the world the way humans do. Every interaction a cat has with another living being begins with a single sensory input, scent. Before trust can be extended, before touch can feel safe, before any social signal can land correctly, the nose has to go first. Researchers studying feline social behavior at the University of Lincoln documented this in precise detail. When 2 cats meet in a relaxed social context, the first behavioral exchange is always a nose touch, a brief mutual scent exchange that takes under 1 second but communicates an entire social identity to both animals. That exchange tells each cat, I know you. I recognize your specific chemical signature. You are not an unknown variable. You are safe. When you skip that step and go straight to physical contact, your cat's sensory system is processing your touch on top of an incomplete greeting. The comfort never fully arrives because the biological foundation for it was never laid. Over months and years of this pattern, a cat who is consistently touched before they have had a chance to scent confirm the person becomes subtly guarded at the moment of contact, tolerating instead of welcoming, shifting slightly away instead of leaning in. You are not the problem. The sequence is the problem. And the daily habit that corrects it takes exactly 2 seconds. Every single time you are about to touch your cat, extend one finger at the height of their nose and hold it still, a few inches from their face. Let them close the gap. Let them bring their nose to you. When they press their face into your finger or rub their cheek along it, that is not them being affectionate in some vague sense. That is their scent glands depositing chemical markers onto your skin, completing the greeting their nervous system requires before trust can open. Now the touch lands on a nervous system that was ready to receive it. Cats remember the people who ask before they touch. That 2-second pause is one of the most meaningful behavioral investments a cat owner can make, and almost nobody in the American pet world has framed it that way. The second habit addresses something that nearly no popular cat channel has ever explained at the level of mechanism. And the absence of that explanation is costing millions of owners a dimension of connection they do not even know they are missing. When your cat sits near you and makes brief eye contact, most people respond in one of 2 ways. They look away quickly, or they hold the gaze too long and then glance away. Neither response communicates anything coherent in feline visual language. What communicates safety and belonging in that moment is a slow, deliberate blink delivered at the exact instant of eye contact. This behavior has been observed and documented in the context of feline social signaling for decades, but the University of Sussex study from 2020, led by Dr. Karen McComb and Dr. Tasman Humphrey, and published in the journal Scientific Reports, was the first to test it in a controlled experimental design. The findings were precise and, for cat owners, genuinely transformative. Cats who received a slow blink from a human, owner, or stranger were significantly more likely to approach that person afterward and significantly more likely to slow blink in return. And the effect worked not just with bonded owners, but with complete strangers, which tells researchers that the signal itself carries the communicative weight, not just the prior relationship. Here is the biological mechanism behind why this works. In feline social communication, slow blinking signals the temporary suspension of vigilance. A cat who blinks slowly in front of another living being is communicating one thing: my guard is down. I am not tracking you as a threat right now. The beings who share slow blinks in feline social groups belong to the same colony, the same trusted inner circle. When you send that signal to your cat and their brain receives it correctly, it triggers a small but real cascade of calming neurochemistry. The same cascade that processes social safety between bonded cats. The practical application of this is almost uncomfortably simple. Every morning, every evening, every time your eyes happen to meet your cat's across the room, hold the contact for 1 second, then let your eyelids drop slowly. Hold the half-closed position for 2 seconds and reopen. 3 seconds of visual language that tells your cat's nervous system: you are known, you are safe, and I am not a threat to you. No cost, no equipment, no preparation. Do this every day for 2 weeks and watch the quality of your cat's gaze change. They will start holding your eye contact longer before looking away. That shift is not random. It is a measurable change in how their social brain is processing your presence. The third habit moves into one of the most neglected corners of daily cat ownership, and the reason almost nobody discusses it is that its effects are invisible in real time. There is no dramatic behavioral shift you can point to in the moment. There is only a slow, silent accumulation of something that researchers call chronic low-grade stress, and by the time most owners notice it in their cat's behavior, it has been building for months. Here is the biology that makes this matter. A cat's auditory system is one of the most sensitive in the animal kingdom. Their hearing range extends from 48 Hz to 85 kHz, nearly 4 times the upper frequency limit of human hearing. Their outer ears contain 32 individual muscles that can rotate independently, like 2 satellite dishes that never stop scanning. This sensory architecture was built for a world of subtle, layered sounds: the rustle of prey in grass, the distant call of a colony member, the precise acoustic signature of a bird landing on a branch 40 feet away. It was not built for a television at full volume 2 feet from where the cat is resting, or a phone conversation at normal speaking level in the same room, or music played at the ambient level most American households maintain throughout the day. Research published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior found that domestic cats living in high ambient noise environments showed elevated resting cortisol levels and significantly reduced time spent in affiliative and resting behaviors compared to cats in low noise environments. Dr. Sarah Ellis of the International Cat Care Organization has described chronic low-grade sound stress as a tap that never fully closes. The stress system never returns to baseline because the trigger never disappears. And for indoor cats living in apartments and houses across the United States, that tap is open every single day. The daily habit that addresses this does not require silence, it requires calibration. Speak to your cat at a softer, lower register than your normal adult conversation. Take phone calls away from the room your cat occupies when possible. Keep ambient media at a volume that does not feel loud in the space they use most. And before you leave in the morning, do not leave the television blaring. Leave instead a nature sound playlist, soft instrumental music, or low-volume calm human speech. Research from the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery found that music composed to feline acoustic preferences, incorporating rhythms and tonal ranges aligned with purring and nursing frequencies, produced measurable reductions in stress markers in shelter cats within 48 hours of introduction. Your home is not a shelter, but your cat's auditory nervous system responds to the same acoustic principles. You are already shaping their sound environment every day. The only question is whether you are shaping it deliberately. The fourth habit is the one that, once you understand the biology behind it, will change how you think about every play session you have ever had with your cat. And it starts with a question most owners have never been asked. When you play with your cat, how do you end it? The honest answer for the vast majority of American cat owners is some version of this. You get tired or distracted, or you check the time and you put the toy down. Maybe you toss it into a corner. Maybe you just stop moving it. The session ends when you decide it ends, not when the sequence is complete. And that distinction is the entire problem. Here is the mechanism that almost nobody in the pet industry has ever clearly communicated to the people buying wand toys and feather teasers and laser pointers. A cat's predatory behavior is not a single action. It is a neurologically sequenced circuit that runs in a fixed order: stalk, chase, pounce, catch, bite, and finally consume. Each stage of that sequence primes the next. Neurochemicals build in a specific pattern that moves the cat's nervous system progressively toward resolution. The final stages, the bite, the grip, the holding of caught prey, are when the brain releases the neurochemical discharge that signals the hunt is over. The threat is neutralized. The body can return to rest. Behavioral researchers call this the predatory sequence resolution, and it is the neurological equivalent of exhaling completely after holding your breath. When you end the play session before your cat has completed that sequence, you leave that neurochemical circuit wide open. There is no resolution signal. The body stays primed. The hunting system keeps running at a low idle, searching for the end point that never came. Do this repeatedly, which most cat owners do every single day, and you create what animal behaviorists call a chronically unsatisfied predatory system. The signs of it are everywhere in modern domestic cats living in apartments and houses across the country, and they are almost always misread. The cat who bites your ankle without warning, the cat who tears through the house at 2 a.m, the cat who attacks the other pet seemingly out of nowhere. These are not personality defects, they are a hunting circuit that has never once been allowed to close. Dr. Jacqueline Munera, a certified feline behaviorist, has described unsatisfied predatory drive as one of the single most underdiagnosed sources of behavioral problems in domestic cats in the United States. And the reason it goes undiagnosed is simple. Nobody told the owners that play has a required ending. The pet toy industry sells you the toy. Popular cat channels tell you to play with your cat. What almost no one explains is that the sequence has a neurologically necessary endpoint, and without it, the 5 or 10 minutes you just spent playing may actually be making the behavioral problem worse, not better. You are winding the spring and never letting it release. The daily habit that corrects this costs nothing extra. It only requires that you change the final 60 seconds of every play session. Let the toy behave like something that can be caught. Slow it down at the end of the session. Let it twitch weakly. Let your cat pounce on it and hold it. Let them bite it. Let them bunny kick it. Give them 30 seconds of uninterrupted physical possession of the toy. Then, immediately after, place a small food reward, a tiny piece of cooked chicken, a single freeze-dried treat near their nose. That food reward is not a bonus. It is the eating phase that follows a real hunt in the wild, the final biological signal that the predatory circuit is complete. Food after the kill tells the cat's brain the sequence is finished. The system can rest. Owners who add this single 60-second closing ritual to their daily play sessions consistently report reductions in nighttime activity, redirected aggression, and restless pacing within 2 to 3 weeks. The cat did not change. The loop finally closed. The story of a cat named Milo, adopted by a family in Portland, Oregon, illustrates exactly how invisible this problem can be and how completely it can be solved. Milo was described by his owners as randomly aggressive, unpredictably attacking their feet, their other cat, and occasionally their hands. 2 different veterinarians found nothing wrong medically. One suggested medication, one suggested rehoming. His owner, a woman named Claire, found the predatory sequence concept while researching feline behavioral biology on her own. Not through any vet, not through any popular cat channel, but through a paper published in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science. She implemented the complete hunt protocol with a wand toy every evening, always ending with Milo catching and holding the toy for a full 30 seconds, always followed by a small meal. Within 18 days, the ankle attacks stopped. Within a month, Milo was sleeping through the night. He was not aggressive. He had a hunting circuit that had been wound up every single day for 2 years and never once released. That is not a rare case. That is what the science shows is happening in a significant proportion of the cats labeled difficult, unpredictable, or just like that in homes across America. The fifth habit operates on a completely different system from the predatory one, and it addresses something that goes to the heart of how cats form social bonds. Most American cat owners express love through physical initiative. They reach for their cat, they pick them up, they seek contact. This feels natural because it is how humans show affection to almost every other being in their lives. It is also, in feline social structure, the behavioral pattern of a being who does not fully understand the social code. In feline groups, the deepest expression of trust is not physical contact initiated by one party. It is proximity chosen freely by both. Cats who are deeply bonded do not constantly groom each other or maintain continuous physical contact. They rest near each other. They share space. The act of choosing to be close, without obligation, without agenda, without anything being required of either party, is what constitutes intimacy in the feline social world. Researchers at the University of Messina in Italy, studying multi-cat households, documented this pattern in detail. The strongest social bonds between cats were consistently characterized not by the frequency of grooming or play interactions, but by the frequency of voluntary proximity. Cats choosing to rest within 2 feet of each other without any behavioral trigger. The parallel rest, as ethologists call it, is feline love expressed at its most fundamental level. Here is where most domestic cat owners in apartments and houses are making the same daily error without knowing it. They sit near their cat and immediately reach for them. They call their name, they offer a treat, they initiate. And the cat, instead of experiencing the profound signal of unconditional proximity, experiences the beginning of a demand. Something is about to be required. The guard goes up, not down. The habit that addresses this is one of the most counterintuitive on this list because it asks you to do almost nothing. Every day, at least once, sit or lie down in the same space as your cat and make no move toward them. Do not call their name. Do not extend your hand. Do not adjust your position to be closer to them. Simply be present, read, work, exist. What you are communicating in the only language your cat's social brain fully trusts is this: I am here and I need nothing from you. That is the signal that slowly, over days and weeks, begins to pull a cat closer rather than pushing them away. You will notice the distance decreasing on its own timeline. First, they stay in the same room. Then they move to the same surface. Then they settle within a few feet. Then they press against you and close their eyes. None of it was requested. All of it was chosen. In feline social neuroscience, voluntary proximity triggers the release of oxytocin in the cat, the same bonding hormone that releases in humans during close social contact with trusted individuals. A study from Asabu University in Japan, led by Dr. Takefumi Kikusui and published in the journal Science, found that mutual gaze and voluntary proximity between bonded individuals increases oxytocin in both parties, with the highest elevations occurring when the proximity was initiated without external prompting. Your cat choosing to come to you rather than being brought to you is not just behaviorally different, it is neurochemically different. The bond it creates is deeper, more stable, and more lasting than any bond built on contact that was initiated by the human. Here is the thing that the popular cat content world has consistently failed to explain, and the failure is costing owners something real. Both of these habits, the complete hunt protocol and the voluntary proximity practice, require that you understand your cat not as a companion who responds to the same social cues as humans and dogs, but as an animal whose nervous system runs on completely different biological software. The pet industry sells enrichment products. The mainstream cat channels tell you to play more and cuddle more. Neither category of advice explains the mechanism that makes play meaningful versus frustrating, or the neurological distinction between contact that was chosen and contact that was imposed. That gap is not accidental. Understanding the mechanism gives you something no product can sell you. It gives you the ability to read your cat's behavior as biological data rather than personality. And once you can do that, the last 2 habits in this video, which address the deepest attachment system in feline biology and the one physical touch that triggers neurochemical bonding in both of you simultaneously, will make immediate sense in a way they cannot without this foundation. The sixth habit brings everything back to your voice, but at a level of specificity that most cat owners have never encountered. Not from their vet, not from any popular channel, and not from the pet industry that profits from selling products instead of explaining biology. Every day, in the ordinary moments between feeding and playing and existing together, you have an opportunity to send your cat a neurological signal that registers as bonded and safe, in a way that no toy, no treat, and no expensive supplement can replicate. That signal is the precise acoustic frequency of your speaking voice, and the science behind it is more specific than most owners realize. A 2022 study published in the journal Animal Cognition, conducted by researchers at the Université Paris-Nanterre under Dr. Charlotte de Mouzon, tested something that cat owners had long intuited but never had confirmed through controlled research, whether cats actually distinguish their owner's voice from a stranger's voice. The answer was yes, but with a critical condition attached. Cats showed statistically significant orienting responses, approach behaviors, and ear rotation toward their owner's voice, only when the owner used what the researchers termed cat-directed speech, a higher-pitched, more melodically variable, slower-paced vocal register that humans instinctively produce when addressing infants and small animals. When the same owner spoke in their normal adult conversational register, their cat's response was statistically indistinguishable from the response to a complete stranger. The recognition, the biological confirmation that this voice belongs to my person, my bonded individual, the one whose presence means safety, did not activate. Here is the mechanism behind why frequency matters this much. A cat's auditory cortex processes the prosodic features of sound, pitch, rhythm, melodic variation, as social signals before it processes any semantic content. What the brain is reading is the acoustic pattern. Is this high and soft and variable, which in the world of feline social calls signals non-threatening affiliation? Or is it flat and low, which signals a neutral presence? Infant-directed speech lands in the first category with enough acoustic contrast to activate the bonded individual recognition system. Standard adult speech does not. Every time you speak to your cat in your normal voice, during feeding, while passing them in the hallway, across the room, you are present but neurologically invisible as their bonded person. The daily habit here is specific. Twice a day, in moments that do not have to be structured or long. 30 seconds while filling their bowl, 30 seconds while sitting near them in the evening. Drop your register into that soft, high, melodically warm tone and say anything. Talk about what you are doing. Narrate the moment. Use their name. It does not matter what the words are. What matters is the acoustic pattern and the fact that you are delivering it directly into the space between you and your cat at a distance, close enough for them to process it without auditory strain. Modern domestic cats living in apartments spend the majority of their waking hours processing ambient human speech at normal adult volume and register, none of which their social recognition system is built to categorize as bonded communication. 30 seconds twice a day of the correct frequency costs nothing and delivers something no product on a pet store shelf can. The neurological confirmation, sent directly into your cat's auditory cortex every single day that you are their person. The seventh and final habit is the one most owners are closest to getting right, and where a single detail, one that almost nobody in the mainstream cat world has ever specified, is the difference between a pleasant petting session and a neurochemical bonding event. When cats who share a deep social bond groom each other, behavior called allogrooming documented in feral cat colonies by researchers at the University of Southampton, they do not groom randomly. The distribution of grooming is highly specific and consistent across colonies, individuals, and generations. The head and neck region receives approximately 72% of all allogrooming contact, with the highest concentration at the base of the skull, between the ears, and down the back of the head. This is not coincidence, and it is not about preference in any casual sense. It is anatomy and neurobiology working together. The area between and behind a cat's ears is the one region of their body they physically cannot groom themselves. Their tongue cannot reach it. Their paw cannot adequately address it. The only way a cat ever receives contact in that specific area is through another individual they trust completely. A bonded colony member, a bonded litter mate, a bonded human who understands the code. Dr. Lauren Finca of Nottingham Trent University, whose research on human-cat interaction has been published in Frontiers in Veterinary Science, found that cats showed the highest rates of positive affiliative responses. Slow blinking, head pressing, kneading, and reduced heart rate. When humans directed touch specifically to the head and neck region compared to any other body area, the mechanism involves a dense concentration of nerve pathways in the follicles of that region that connect directly to the brain's social reward circuitry. When another trusted individual makes contact there, it triggers the release of oxytocin, the bonding neurochemical, in both animals simultaneously, not just in the cat being touched, in the one doing the touching as well. This bidirectional oxytocin release is the same mechanism that creates and reinforces the mother-infant bond in mammals. It is one of the most powerful biological bonding signals in the mammalian nervous system, and it is available to you every single day with nothing more than your hand and 60 seconds of intentional attention. The specific technique matters. The fingers, not the palm. Slow, repetitive strokes moving from between the ears toward the base of the skull, at a rhythm of approximately 1 stroke every 2 seconds. The approximate pace of a cat's tongue during allo-grooming. Not scratching, not rubbing. The pressure should be firm enough to feel deliberate but gentle enough to feel safe. Watch your cat's response carefully. If their eyes begin to close slowly, if their body softens and their weight drops slightly forward, if their purr shifts from a sharp, higher-pitched sound into something slower and lower and more resonant, that deeper purr reflects an active neurochemical bonding state, not simple relaxation. 60 seconds, every day, the same spot. The one area your cat cannot reach on their own, offered freely by the person they chose to trust. Now here is how to put all 7 habits into a daily practice that takes less than 15 minutes total. The framework is called the CAT protocol. C stands for calibrate, A stands for activate, and T stands for touch. Calibrate covers the vocal register habit and the sound environment, 30 seconds of infant-directed speech in the morning when you first see your cat, and 30 seconds again in the evening, 1 minute total. It delivers the bonded individual neurological signal to your cat's auditory cortex twice every day. Activate covers the complete predatory sequence, 5 to 8 minutes of one toy play, ending with 60 seconds of your cat holding and biting the toy uninterrupted, always followed immediately by a small food reward of no more than 1 teaspoon of cooked plain protein. That closing meal is the hunt completion signal. Without it, the activate step is incomplete. Touch covers the allo-grooming contact. 60 seconds of slow finger strokes from between the ears to the base of the skull at 1 stroke every 2 seconds. Always after the activate step and never before it. The order of Kati is not optional. Calibrate first because it shifts the cat's nervous system into a receptive state. Activate second because it discharges the predatory energy that makes the cat less available for social bonding. Touch third because it delivers the oxytocin bonding signal to a nervous system that has already been primed to receive it. Done in this order, every day. These 3 components take between 7 and 10 minutes and produce cumulative effects on your cat's baseline cortisol, behavioral stability, and affiliative behavior that build noticeably over weeks. And here is the mistake that invalidates the entire protocol, the one that almost every owner makes when they first learn this framework, and the one that explains why some owners try these habits and report that nothing changed. They do the touch step first. They come home, they see their cat, they are excited to try the new technique, and they immediately begin stroking the between the ears spot before the activate step has discharged the predatory circuit. A cat who still has unsatisfied hunting energy running through their nervous system does not experience that touch as bonding contact. They experience it as interruption. The oxytocin does not release at the level the biology is capable of because the system is still primed for predatory action, not social rest. The cat may tolerate the touch for a few seconds and then walk away, or may redirect and nip. The owner concludes the technique does not work for their cat. The technique works. The order was wrong. Calibrate, activate, touch, every time in that sequence. That is the entire difference between a routine that transforms your relationship with your cat over weeks and a routine that produces nothing. If you have been doing any version of these habits out of sequence and felt like your cat was not responding, try the protocol in order for 7 consecutive days before drawing any conclusions. The biology needs the sequence as much as it needs the individual components. The 7 habits in this video are not a collection of tips. They are a translation guide. The specific behavioral inputs that a cat's nervous system was built to receive as bonded, safe, and loved, delivered by a human who now understands the mechanism behind each one well enough to use it every single day. If this changed how you see your relationship with your cat, subscribe to this channel. Because what is coming next goes deeper into the one thing most owners spend years getting completely wrong. How to read what your cat is actually saying to you right now, today, with their body, before the signals they have been sending for months become the ones no owner ever wants to miss. Type the word cat in the comments if this video reached you at the right time. And go find your cat right now and start with the first step. Everything else builds from there.